Another wasted opportunity for UConn. You're locked on.
You are Locked On UConn, your daily podcast on the UConn Huskies, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for making Locked On UConn your first listen every day. We're not going to go through the whole spiel today because this is a quick live reaction show. I am just beyond pissed off at this game. It's another Wake Forest win, and it's another UConn wasted opportunity against a Power 4 team. If you closed your eyes and you said Wake Forest is a Power 4 conference without laughing and giggling at that, then you're probably an unserious person, because Wake Forest is not a good football team. They were a few years back when they had Sam Hartman and a few other receivers that went to the NFL and a really solid offensive line. UConn had 2 weeks to prepare for this game, and it looked like they were sleepwalking on offense, on defense. They had no idea how to penetrate the A gap so that they could get some penetration on that stupid freaking mesh play that they use on 75% of their offensive snaps. And I'm going to get to the positives here in a little bit, but the negatives on this is management of this offense. When are these coaches going to learn about their players? They have Justin Gaethings was an amazing wide receiver today. Why haven't they been using him in other opportunities? It's the first real game action he's seen, like, considerable. They rarely schemed up anything for Skylar Bell. TJ Sheffield had a great catch on the last drive where he spun and got 20 yards on the first play. Then you never hear from him again. How many running backs drop passes? It just looked like a woefully unprepared football team. And it was really sad. It's a sad commentary because it looked like there was a decent crowd there today. I think I heard something like 27,000 people, which still isn't great, but at least it's something. And you're playing for an opportunity to take out an ACC team, and you have no ability to manage this game against a defense that's one of the worst in the country. And this isn't the Temple situation where it looked like they were playing a really bad defense, but they got like 2 of their starters back. That was something that I learned much later in, where I was frustrated in that game. This Wake Forest team didn't have a bunch of guys coming back from injury, and their stats are skewed. Has they played a tougher schedule than us? Absolutely. But if you watch that game, you're trying to tell me that the talent level is different there? One guy, Dave Clawson, is actually a solid coach who kind of wins with what he's given there. And Jim Mora just leaves a lot to be desired. How do you punt down 10 on 4th and 1 on your side of the field, knowing that you're not going to probably have enough time left to get 2 scores? Because on the next drive that they got it, they actually did stop them. They score on a 3rd and 15, a great back shoulder throw from Nick Evers. And now they had to do the impossible, which is stop them, then get it back and score again. They ran out of juice. That's just the bottom line. It's like, at that point, it's 4th and 1, and you're punting in Wake Forest chewed up 4 or 5 minutes of clock on that last drive. Even though they got to stop, it just was an awful managed game. And honestly, by the amount of people that are watching this live, I can tell that people don't care. You just don't care. There's 4 people watching live, and it has nothing to do with how many people subscribe to my show. So if you want to at me at that, that's a garbage take, because the show is growing on a precipitous route going forward. I'm just really frustrated that the apathy on this team is all about blaming the officials. It's about talking about, well, we took another step forward. You know who says that? Aaron Boone. And you know what? He's terrible too. There you go. I'm a Yankee fan, and I'm frustrated with a team that's 1 game away from the World Series. So you see where my standard is. It's because I watch 2 programs on the men's and women's basketball side that win championships and put a product on the field that Connecticut folks can be proud of. And what they saw today, they can't be proud of. I'm sorry. The kids had great effort. Don't get me wrong. The coaches are letting them down. I'll give Matt Brock a pass on defense, because that defense stood up time and time again, and that could have been a 40-14 loss. So I'll give them some credit. I'll give him some credit. But Gordon Samus is like this. It's like, get on the Gordon Samus roller coaster, because some days it's like he's in his bag and he's outside run. Then we're doing our RPO. Then we're doing slants. Then we're doing back shoulder throws. he has no ability to be consistent. There isn't a scheme that I feel comfortable handing over the plays to Gordon. And you could even hear Ross Tucker. I don't like Ross Tucker personally. I think he's a good analyst, but he was breaking that down pretty consistently he was like, I don't agree that. How do you punt here? Or or I think he said that they thought that they got a first down on that 3rd and 1, where they thought it was a first down. And instead of going for like just to get a yard, they went shotgun on 3rd and 1 and went for like a 10-yard hitch. And that's just not Gordon Samus. So if he didn't know that it was 3rd and 1, what are we even doing? That's coaching malpractice. It's ridiculous. How do you coach like that at this level? You can't make those mistakes. Not as an independent that's looking to make the jump to a Power 4 conference. You just can't have these issues. I'm sorry. And there's really not much else to say. Was the officiating good? No. They missed a big holding call that led to a field goal. I think it was actually led to a touchdown because they called illegal hands to the face when our guy was being ripped down. So yes, were there really shitty calls by the officials? 100%. Was there probably pass interference on that call on the 4th and 8 after we got a false start on 4th and 3? Yes. Did we have 2 offensive linemen go out? For sure. But those are excuses. They're not based in reality as to why this team is losing these games. They're losing these games because our coaching staff, most notably Jim Mora, who makes the decisions, aren't being aggressive enough. They look fantastically aggressive against really crappy teams. They should win. But when we're playing against higher quality competition, and I guess you can call Wake that because they play in a bigger conference, they look like they don't have the stones to make the proper call. And that's really sad because I think Jim Roy is a good dude. I think he's probably a really quality coach, really efficient in the way he runs practice, all of that stuff. But you can be all of those things and not be successful as a college coach, especially at this level. And it's incredibly frustrating. Let's look at some of the stats right now, because I'm going to give credit where credit's due. Our kicker, Freeman, who's hit 10 straight kicks and he kicked a 50-plus yarder, my player of the game. Because let me tell you something. If we got into field goal position, we're at overtime right now. But unfortunately, we didn't get to because I don't know what the hell we're running at the end of that game. It's like watching 2 different teams. You have an offense that looks good for like a one drive, and then Wake Forest, really, again, we're playing a really bad Wake Forest defense. You don't build off of it. There was no momentum. We gave we only ran 25 times for 40 yards against one of the worst rushing defenses in football. And I'll give Big Larry credit here. He was talking in the chat earlier about how if your outside runs aren't working, I countered that with where was Nick to kind of pull the ball and take that as an RPO? If he's a little gun shy because of the concussions and the head injuries, I totally understand that. It's not my body on the line. But what I understand is if you're not able to run the plays that the team needs to win, then he wasn't an advantage today. And he actually had a pretty good game. 26 of 43, 264 yards and 2 touchdowns, 1 terrible interception at the beginning of the game. It was all of that, guys. It wasn't at the beginning of the game. It was like fumbled snaps, an interception, terrible punts, like shanking it off your foot. So Wake Forest spent the entire first half of the game on our side of the field. There was no rhythm. So for us to even be close in this game after the way we played is actually not bad. But that's, again, we're going back into that moral victory stuff. And I just can't do it. Not with a UConn program. I don't care where this team is, where the program has been. It is not worth it. And you know what? This live stream is not worth the time. It just isn't, because this team didn't. And I'm doing this because I want you guys to kind of come on and voice your opinions and whatnot. But this football team is more infuriating than it's worth watching on a regular basis. I will 100% say that. Will I sit there and watch every game for the rest of the year? 1,000%. Is it only because I have a podcast? No, it's because I love the University of Connecticut and I want to see them succeed. But do I expect them to probably win all of the rest of their games? Maybe. They'll probably lose to Syracuse. Let's do that really quick. Where are the rest of their wins? Because they've convinced me now with the 3 losses against Power 4 teams that they will not win any of these Power 5 games. And they may lose to Massachusetts. Who knows? Let's go to UConn's schedule. I'm officially back on the we suck train. I posted that we were going to lose, and we did. And I'm not excited about being right. But we'll probably win it. We'll probably win at home against Rice. We'll win at home against Georgia State. We'll likely win against that train wreck, which is UAB in Trent Dilfer. And we're going to get beat by Syracuse, and we'll see about Massachusetts. So we're looking at 1, 2, 3. So that's 3 more wins added to 4. So that's 7. Lose against Syracuse, maybe 8 wins. Whereas we were thinking about 10 wins. I think that's obviously that pipe dream is gone. I don't think you're wrong, Josh, but I don't also think that you're using him correctly. They're just not. They're not utilizing his skill set, which is RPO, the ability to run pass, and he has pretty good touch when he has time. And if you have an offensive line that is gimpy and hurt like it was today, move the pocket, give him space so he can step into throws. What are we doing? He's and Gordon's an offensive line coach. Why do I know that and not him? A guy who played a semester of 1AA football. I mean, come on, guys. That's my biggest thing. Like I just can't have that happen off of a bye week. It's just this game. If they didn't win, if this game went differently and they tied that game up and they struggled against overtime, I think the narrative is different. But the fact that they basically ran out of time and couldn't convert on a 4th down, and also that play calling at the end of the game. Let's look at the way that this team kind of runs their offense. I'm going to go right to the game play-by-play. Last little bit here, and then I'm jumping off to be with my family so that I can stop being frustrated at UConn football. But let's look at the drive that they scored a touchdown to cut it to 3. This is the first play. So quick pass, 6 yards to Skylar Bell. And I know that they're playing off, but you have to understand like the flow of this offense. And it needs the pass to set up the run, not the other way around. Against a team that knows that UConn wants to run the ball, they should have been setting up the pass to get the run. Did Nick Evers get any help at the beginning of the game with some drop passes and some of the shitty snaps by the center? I totally agree. You have to factor that in. But the play calling didn't help him out either. Biggest play of the game for Nick Evers was the Brett Buckman pass for 17 yards on the 4th and 2. I do think they convert that 4th and 3 if they don't get the false start. I think the 4th and 8 allows Wake to kind of play a little tighter. And on 4th and 8, they're never going to call that PI guys unless he literally rips his helmet off. So let's stop complaining about that. The officials are terrible, but come on, let's just be real. That's my biggest thing. And then if you let's look at the drive to get the ball back and where they were trying to score at the end of the game. So they get a quick 3 and out. They punt. So UConn gets the ball at the 20. Nick throws a crossing route in kind of what's their mesh, which is kind of like guys kind of rubbing off another wide receiver, and get TJ Sheffield for 21 yards to the 41 on the very first play. Then what do? Call timeout, or I think there was an injury. The next play is actually that wasn't the injury, but they call timeout. So it's 1:55 to go. I think that was either their timeout or the 2-minute timeout, whichever one it was. Then we go Nick Evers incomplete pass. Nick Evers pass complete to Josiah Gathings for 7 yards. So you're going automatic pass. All you need to do is get in field goal position. And you have timeouts. This is the time, Gordon. You're an offensive line coach. You know this. This team is peeling their ears back to get to the quarterback. Or was a little draw play or a potential wide receiver screen, something to not deal with the fact that they're trying to get you to pass. Make them play the whole field. You didn't need to score a touchdown there. There was no clock concerns. And then lastly, even on the touchdown drive to cut the lead to 3, it took forever for them to get down. It was a 13-play, 88-minute drive. Again, I will reference Ross Tucker again saying, man, this is taking entirely too long. Yeah, no shit, Ross. I said the same thing. I was so frustrated with the pace. That's the thing. No sense of urgency. Where was that? And then this guy's trying to be silly. UConn is a football team. Whatever, man. You can get off my screen. I don't really care. You're funny. Ha, ha, ha. Jeffrey Brown. Hysterical. Yeah, UConn has a football team. Guess what also UConn has? A fantastic program. Who the hell are you a fan of? Get out of here. My guys, I am done for the day. Enjoy your weekend. Kiss your loved ones. Hope your kids are all healthy. My kids are sick as dogs right now, so I am going to go and be with them. And let's just hope UConn can pick themselves off the mat and get some wins that they should win. And by the way, this was a should win too. That's the last thing I'll say.